and I am a member of a company called DGS Games. We make a game called Freeblades. It is a fantasy skirmish game set in our world of Phelan, and there's deep background on our world on our website and in some of the digital products that we produce, like the faction book. So a free band is basically a role-playing party that is for hire. They go off in search of adventure in our world of Phelan. If you look on the table here, we've got a part of a starter box. Starter box is 6 figures. And in this skirmish game, you're going to be playing with 6 to no more than 18 models on the side. So on this side, we've got the Trazerite Crusaders, which is our version of Roman gladiators on dinosaurs, if you will.
That's incredible.
This is an all-male faction, and that is because in the Trazerite Empire, they do not let women hold positions of authority. They cannot serve in the military. They cannot run a business. So on the other side, we have the Eclipse Sisterhood, which is an all-female faction and the underground rebellion against the Trazerites. So these guys are mortal enemies on this board. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is take you through a turn.
Okay.
So we're going to start with initiative. So in the initiative phase, you determine who goes first. And for this demo, we're going to say the Eclipse have already won initiative. Then we're going to do magic, movement, shooting, melee, and end phase. So let's dive in and do some magic. Would you like to roll for the girls?
Sure.
Okay.
Which dice should I roll?
I am going to tell you.
Oh, awesome.
So if you look, these cards are free downloads from our website. You only need one rules product to play the game. That is called the Living Rule Book. It's a $10 one-time buy from our web store. You get all the updates for free. And it's an interactive PDF, so you can download it onto your tablet or your phone and click back and forth. It's very navigable. All right,
excellent.
So the Sun Eater is going to attempt to cast a spell called Nullify Armor. That is going to cost her 1 power. So she's going to pay her 1 power.
Oh,
now,
they're little tiny scrolls. So cute.
So we're at the end of a game in this turn. You start with 15 powers, so that's why she's got 3 power left. So she's going to pay her 1 power, and now she's going to roll her caster rating, which is D10. This target number is 2. 5, it goes up.
Excellent.
Now leave that there because the Sunbringer is within counterspelling distance of that. So it was pretty easy to cast that spell, but he can now try to counter it. Now to do that, he's got Spirit Magic, which is one kind of magic, and the Sun Eater has Energy Magic, 2 kinds of magic in our world. If you're trying to counter the opposite kind of magic, it costs you 1 more power because you're not as familiar. Right. So it's going to cost him 2 power, and to counter that, he's going to roll his caster rating, D10 also. That's a typical starter casting rating, and he's got to beat a 5. So here we go. 3, he does not. So that spell has gone off, and that Keshark's armor value has dropped from 5 to 2. So he's pretty vulnerable. Now the Sunbringer is going to attempt to cast a spell called Salvation because this guy suffered a life point loss in a previous turn. So he's going to try to heal that up now. It costs him 1 power, and then he rolls his caster rating, which is D10. Target number 2, it goes off with a 9. Now if the Sun Eater wanted to try to counter that, she would have to pay 2 power, and she'd have to beat it with the. Let's say she goes ahead and tries.
All right.
Beat a 9. No, 7 does not. So that spell goes off as well, and that life point has been healed. Okay, we're going to go to the movement phase, and I'm going to move the models for you because I've got some things pre-programmed to show you.
Okay.
Okay, so the Eclipse are going to move 1 at a time, and the Trazerites are going to have some reactions they can make, and you're going to see that right now. So the Shadow Dancer is going to announce that she's charging the Packmaster. She says what she's going to do before she does it because he's got different options that he can do. So he can stand there and take it. He can attempt to evade her. That's a discipline test. Or he can countercharge her, and they would mean the middle. And he is not afraid of her, so that is exactly what he would do. And they're both going to get the benefit of the charge. Now the Sun Eater likes where she is. The Nemesis is engaged already. Look at this Throat Seeker over here. So if you look at her card, 7 is the speed that she goes in inches. She can run up to twice that. But there's some limiters in what you can do when you run. And normally you cannot run through windows and doors and over hedges and over walls.
Yeah.
But she has a talent called Free Runner. She's a little parkour expert, so she actually can charge all the way through all of that and go engage, charge right at the Keshark. And he cannot do anything about that because he's already busy with the Nemesis. So in order to react, you have to be unengaged and ready.
Right.
So he's just going to take that, and then it's going to go over to the Trazerites for movement. Packmaster is already moved. If the Keshark tried to break off, he'd get reaction attacks from both of those models to his rear, so he's not going to do that. Sunbringer likes where he is. Legionnaire is going to come over here and get within short throwing range of that Sun Eater because he can throw that Gadaru that he's holding. So that's going to bring up the shooting phase, which is next. So the Legionnaire, it's a two-part process to do a wound. First you have to hit, and then you break the armor. So we're going to do the hit. He's going to use his range attack rating, which is D8. Target number is set by her defense, which is 4. So here he goes. 2. He's not going to go through. Just for illustration purposes, let's say he rolled a 4.
Okay.
So to break his armor, we'd go to his damage, D6 plus 1. 6.
Wow.
Okay, he gets to roll again. 1. So 6, 7, plus 1 is 8. So that illustrates one feature of our game. If you roll the highest number on a die, you get to roll again and add your results. You get to keep doing that as long as you're rolling the highest number on the die. And the game always gives you a benefit for a critical success, which is usually 10 over what you need. So in this case, say he had rolled a 6 and then another 6 and then a 3. That would have been a total of 15. Actually, plus 1 would be 16. Her armor value is 2. So you only need to meet or exceed the armor value to do 1 wound. If you have critical success on your damage roll, that's going to do an extra life point loss. So that is, and life points is the number of life points that you've got to give. In this case, with a little divine intervention, he did only 1 wound. So we'll leave that there and go to the melee phase. We've got 2 combats going on, this one, and we're going to go ahead and do this one first. The Packmaster versus the Shadow Dancer. The first thing you do in a combat is determine who is going first in that combat. So Charger's going to go before non-Chargers, but they both charged. Then you look at discipline level. They are both D10 discipline. So this is going to be a simultaneous combat. And the way we simulate that is we say the first player goes and you resolve their attack completely, and then the second player goes. But even if the Packmaster got dropped, he would get to attack back, which makes it simultaneous. It's just too confusing if you're trying to roll dice at the same time. So Shadow Dancer is going to go first. Her melee attack rating is D10, the blue die. Defense is his 4, so you have hit him with an 8. And now you're going to roll to see if you break armor. D8 plus 1, this guy,
D8.
plus another 1 for the charge. So 2, 3, 4. Her armor value is, his armor value is 3. So you've done a wound. Except that he has a talent called Die Hard that says if he's about to lose a life point, he can roll his endurance to try to ignore that life point loss. Now that's a target number 7, so kind of hard to do, but he's got really good endurance, D12. So he's got about an even shot of doing that. So every model is rated in 6 different role-playing-like attributes: endurance, strength, dexterity, agility, knowledge, and spirit. If it's listed on their card, it's whatever it says. If it's not listed, it goes to their base ability. So every hero has a base ability of D8. And if they don't have anything special about them, that's what you assume their attributes are. Their attributes also work together with their stat lines. So these models totally make sense. A normal starting hero, for instance, would only have 2 life points unless they had the leader talent. This guy has got 3 life points, and the reason why is because he's got high endurance. So that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, so here he goes. He's going to try to avoid that life point loss. Target number was 7. He rolled an 8. He gets to ignore it.
Wow.
And now he gets to attack back. So his melee attack rating, D10, versus her defense of 5. Now her defense is higher than his because she's got higher agility. So here we go. 10, he gets to roll again.
Oh, shoot.
10, 20. Okay. 22. All right. She's in a little bit of trouble. So that's a critical hit because her defense is 5. So at 15, that would have been a critical hit. He didn't quite get to 2 levels of critical, but he got to 1. Now she does have 2 parries, but she can only parry 1 attack once. If she had 2 models on her, she could get to parry both attacks. But she's going to try to parry that. If she doesn't parry it, maybe she can take away the critical, you know.
Yeah.
So she'll give it a shot. 6. So that does not take, because critical, that resets her defense to a 6, which is higher than a 5, but still 16 is 10 over. So it's a critical hit. And the benefit of a critical hit is you get to automatically what we call spike your damage roll. So it's like I already rolled an 8, and now I'm rolling D8 plus 2, plus another one for the charge. So let's see what happens. 8 plus 4 is 12, 13, 14, 15. Her armor value is 3. That is critical damage. So he has done 2 wounds, and she only has 2 wounds to give, so she has dropped.
Wow.
So, well done, Packmaster. No glory for the women today, at least not so far. And now, since the Sun Eater is within 6 inches of her, saw her fellow hero die, she's going to have to take a morale test. So she'll take that off of her leader's discipline because her leader is within 6 inches of her. So roll a d12, target number 4. A 6, she's good. So she'll stick around.
Okay.
Now the Packmaster gets to reposition 3 inches. So we'll move over here and maybe get into good charge range to go help out that Keshark next turn. All right, that brings up this melee. So we've got the Keshark and 2 different models engaged with him. The Throat Seeker is going to go first because she charged. So even though she's lower discipline, she's going to go first. And then it's going to be simultaneous between the Nemesis and the Keshark because they're both D12 discipline. So if you look at the Keshark's card, his defense is 5 because he's holding a shield, not because of higher agility. That means that if somebody tried to engage him from the rear, he wouldn't get the benefit of the shield, so he'd have to drop his defense to 4. In this case, they're both in his front arc, but every extra model that is on him is going to drop his defense. He just gets busier. So his defense does go down to 4, and that sets her target number, the Throat Seeker's target number. So she's going to roll her D8, yellow die, target number 4, 2, does not get through. So we're going to go to the Nemesis. And again, even if the Nemesis dropped the Keshark, he would get to attack back. Her melee attack rating is D12 plus 1. She gets to add 1 because of her dexterity. Target number 4. 8 is going to hit. Now he does have a parry, so he's going to attempt to beat that. Oh, and actually that's a 9 because she gets to add 1. So trying to beat a 9, I do not. So she has hit him, and now she's going to roll damage. D8 plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, normally he's armor value 5, but because of that spell that you cast, he's down to a 2 armor value. So that is going to wound. So, well done, Nemesis. And now his turn to attack back. Now, most heroes in our game have something called Hero's Honor. So if they're faced with both engaged with both a hero and a follower, they must attack the hero because that's the honorable thing to do. Bandits do not have any Hero's Honor, and neither do demons. But this guy does. So he's going to attack the Nemesis because she's the hero. Her defense is 5. And he's got 2 attacks. He attacks with that Sakazet, and then also the Velazar that he's riding has a bite attack. So he's going to do both against her. D12 and D8. Defense is 5, so that's the target. A 1 and a 5. So the 5 will be a hit, the 1 will not. The Nemesis has 2 parries, and she's actually going to parry both. Why would you ever parry a 1? Because critical success on a parry gives you a riposte or a free attack back. So maybe I can have a critical success. So go ahead and parry the 5 first. With your melee attack rating, which is you got it. Okay, parrying the 5. 4 plus 1 is 5, so not parried because you have to beat it to block it. Parry the 1. That does not beat 1. Okay, so neither is parried, but the only one that got through was the Sakazit, so he's going to go ahead and roll damage, d8 plus 1. 8, roll again. 11, 12. Her armor value is 3, so you'd say, okay, that's not a critical, except that this is a lethal weapon, and a lethal weapon crits on threshold 8, so he actually only had to roll 11 to get a critical damage.
Right.
And so that means that he has done critical damage, and he's going to do 2 wounds to her.
Well.
All right, so yes, the bad day continues for the Eclipse. Now she's still alive because she had 3 life points to give, but the Eclipse have taken 2 life points losses, and he's only taken 1 in this combat, so they would lose the combat. And ordinarily, the entire side would have to take morale tests at this point. They do not need to because the Eclipse have a special rule because of their background that says they hate Trazerites. And a model that has the hate talent is fearless when they're engaged with the model that they hate. So they're not going to be taking any morale tests for losing that combat. Now, the Trazerites have a counterbalancing talent called Enraged, because when they see a woman with a weapon, so that keeps the game in balance.
Yeah.
So that's the melee phase. We would go to the end phase next. And in the end phase, we have 18 different scenarios in our living rule book. Some of them are more meet in the middle and fight it out kinds of scenarios, and the rest are more adventure based. So sometimes things happen in the end phase. So in the demon infestation scenario, you're trying to close the witch gates that are spawning demons. So closing the witch gate is an end phase action. In the nest scenario, additional Shalkarak or snakes could be arriving from the edges. That happens in the end phase. You'd also be assessing for victory conditions. Has one of the sides accomplished the scenario objectives? Or has one or the other side's free band broken, where half or more of their life points are off the table? If not, you go on to the next turn and start again. So typical game, played on a 4x4 surface, and lasts around 90 minutes. Shorter if you're playing with fewer models, longer if you're playing with more. The living rule book has rules for campaign system, and our campaign system is awesome. We've had a 20-player campaign going in Kansas City where nobody dropped out because I'm incented to play somebody better than me. My free band gets much better, much quicker as a result. Also, I get benefits for that game that make me more competitive in that particular game. So it's a great campaign system, and that is our game. What do you think?
That's actually really fun. Like, it has a lot of elements that I'm used to in terms of like regular RPGs, but they're twisted so that they're a little easier to understand, and it makes it interesting. And it feels more like an actual combat than we're just going to go in a circle until everyone's done.
Yeah, that's the nature of a skirmish game. And our general approach is familiar but unique. So you're going to see things that are going to remind you of other things. But then we've got our unique take on everything. So we've got 11 different factions with different fighting styles, and we've got a 12th faction coming out in December and 2 more planned for next year. So lots of options, and you've already seen our minis in the cases. So that's what we've got. So thank you.
All right, thank you for sitting here and talking with us, running through a game. This is really interesting. I love it, and I love that like you can get like a starter pack and get things so you can just start, and you don't have to like collect things to start. 2 players
can get in this game for well under $100 if you count 2 starter sets. Right now at $36.99, and a living rule book $10. You're into the game. That's all you need.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for talking with us today. It was great. And you guys really need to check out this game. What is the website they can find this at again?
www.dgsgames.com.
Be sure to check it out, and we'll see you next time.